let's for a moment dip in and see what's happening at Goa as the tricolor is folded and handed over to the family.
मिरामर द्वीप से जहाँ अंतिम दर्शन हुए हैं कुछ क्षण के लिए मौन हजरे उनकी आत्मा की शांति के लिए जब वो पंचतत्व में विलीन होंगे राष्ट्रीय सम्मान के साथ उन्हें विदा किया जा रहा है। और ये सिर्फ शरीर से विदाई होती है, जहन में, दिमाग में, दिल में पर्रिकर साहब जिंदा रहेंगे, ये लोग कहते हैं। और क्यों न कहें जिन्होंने खुद से ज़्यादा लोगों की चिंता की, खुद से ज़्यादा लोगों की चिंता की, खुद से ज़्यादा लोगों को काम किया। ये ऐसा नहीं होता है। उनके परिवार के सदस्य हैं, उनके बेटे हैं इस वक्त हाथ में उनके तिरंगा, और जो अंतिम संस्कार की तरफ कदम बढ़ते हैं। वाकई में गंभीर क्षण है ये। और भारत माता की जय के नारे, लोगों का विश्वास, लोगों का भरोसा और बढ़ा है। वो कहते हैं कि ये भरोसा पैदा करना चाहिए किसी नेता को, और वो पैदा हुआ है। और इसी भरोसे के साथ हुआ रहा साल दर साल 4 बार वो मुख्यमंत्री रहे, जिसे हमने देखा वो मुंबई से आए हैं, वो नासिक से आए हैं, दूर दूर से वो लोग आए हैं। जिसे वो जैसे यहाँ पहुँच सका है वो पहुँचा है ताकि उनके दर्शन वो कर सके। और मैं आपको बताऊँ कई ऐसे किस्से जो आज भी लोग आज इस मौके पर याद करते हैं। और वो कहते हैं कि मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि पड़ोस के किसी दुकान में वो चाय पी रहे थे, हम उनके सामने बैठे थे। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि उनकी शादी के मौके पर वो पहुँचे। देखिए पीछे ये उनका थोड़ी देर में ही और
full military honors for former Defence Minister of India, family, friends still coming to pay their last respects to Manohar Parrikar. But this is first the Shok Shastra and then the Baju Shastra. So once again, you've expressed your grief, but you take pride in the fact that a warrior was with you.
Yes, absolutely, Gaurav. And it's it's so poignant that this year we've seen 2 defence ministers. We've lost 2 defence ministers in quick succession. Mr. George Fernandes and Mr. Manohar Parrikar, 2 very fine defence ministers who brought their very unique style to the defence ministry. Mr. George Fernandes, who was defence minister through the Kargil war, again like you mentioned, like Rajdeep said, he had this connect with the soldiers. They did their best for the troops on the ground. And Mr. Parrikar, I still remember, one of the first things that he moved as defence minister was the issue of bulletproof jackets and helmets for the soldiers. And this is something, very basic requirements that have been stuck for many years, almost a decade. And he just cut through the red tape and he said, look, let's just do this and buy it. We need this urgently. And today the soldiers on the line of control and fighting terrorists have the bulletproof jackets and helmets thanks to Mr. Parrikar. So he was a guy who he had the ability to cut through complex issues and just get down to taking a decision when it was most needed.
Sahil, his elder son, is now going to light the funeral pyre, but as far as the BJP is concerned, they still have a huge task ahead of them to find a replacement for Manohar Parrikar, a task that's easier said than done, Sahil.
It seems that even Nitin Gadkari has given up. I mean, he is giving indications that if by 6:30, the alliance partners do not come on board, he is not going to get into this murky business anymore, and he's going to leave it at that. he tried the whole 24 hours almost, to convince them to come with the BJP to form the government. But if it is not going to materialize, then he's also going to leave it at that. But right now at the cremation ground where I am at this point of time, it looks like that his elder son, as you mentioned, is going to lead the fire. He will be given a gun salute. The Jawans are already prepared for that, and the rest of the ceremony has already begun. BJP President Amit Shah was here, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis I could see here. The BJP leaders from Goa are also present at this point of time. Only Nitin Gadkari couldn't make it because he was still trying to break a deal with the alliance partners so that the BJP will be able to form the government in Goa.
Nitin Gadkari, someone who was extremely close, Rajdeep, to Manohar Parrikar. Nitin Gadkari was the man, he said 35 years ago, he selected Manohar Parrikar, Shripad Yasho Naik, then Digambar Kamath was also with the BJP, and now look at the way everyone's gone a different way.
That's right. It was in 1988 that Manohar Parrikar was effectively loaned by the RSS to the BJP. This was just ahead of the Ram Janmabhoomi movement being fully launched across the country. And Manohar Parrikar actually went to Ayodhya as part of the car sevaks who were going to Ayodhya. It was also controversial because it meant that he was identified with a certain brand of Hindutva that was unsuited, it was believed, to Goa's politics. And I think Manohar Parrikar over the years recognized that and made a course correction, because you couldn't run Goa through the politics of hard Hindutva. Digambar Kamath, who was also one of the BJP early leaders, he eventually went and joined the Congress party, became a chief minister for 5 years between 2007 and 2012. And Shripad Naik is today, of course, a minister at the center. So there was a small group of BJP leaders who in the late 80s, 90s emerged on the scene. Remember, at that time there were only two real parties in Goa. There was the Congress and there was the Maharashtravadi Gomantak party. The Maharashtravadi Gomantak party had the advantage that they were seen as the party that had fought for Goa statehood.
Yes.
So the first chief ministers, Dayanand Bandodkar and Shashikala Kakotkar, his daughter, both came from the MGP. But the MGP declined over the years, and there was a feeling that the Shiv Sena would occupy that space. Ironically, the Shiv Sena, which thought that because they were powerful in Maharashtra, they could spread into Goa, failed where Manohar Parrikar and the BJP succeeded. And that's an interesting, that's perhaps because the Shiv Sena was not able to become an inclusive party in the way the BJP in Goa was able to become.
Yes.
On the beef ban, sorry.
Okay, the 21 gun salute.
अंतिम सलामी दी गई जिस तरह से
lot of land there.
कतार में अभी हमारी संवाददाता
21 gun salute for former Defence Minister of India Manohar Parrikar. The Indian Navy gave the gun salute. Sailors from INS Hansa. You also have military personnel there, you see, of the signal center, and the signal center band for the last rites, and then first the last post and then the rouse. And now Manohar Parrikar's mortal remains will be consigned to flames. Vivek Menezes, situation for the BJP not looking too good in Goa. They've lost their tallest leader and there isn't a replacement. 20 minutes to go for that deadline that's been set by Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. He said by 6 the allies have to come on board or he's leaving. Things don't look very good for the BJP just now.
I wouldn't quite say that. As Rajdeep alluded earlier, there isn't really a hurry. The BJP is certainly in the driver's seat. They're in power in the center, and they have largely all the cards to play themselves. None of the people who are in part of their government right now would like to be sitting in opposition or lose the kind of tenuous hold they have right now. It's definitely going to be a kind of an ugly scrap. There's going to be a lot of double dealing. We're going to see maybe some shocks. But I think that in general, the momentum is still with the party in power right now. And of course, now you have the immense sympathy factor towards Parrikar and the BJP, because the fact remains this politician, despite his checkered record, and in fact the last few months have not been a very pleasant last chapter to his legacy. The fact is, this is a man who dominated Goa's political sphere for the last 19 years, actually over that 25 years, if you want to look when he first began. So it's going to be quite it's going to be, I would say, difficult for power to change hands drastically in this state.
Okay, so you're saying it's still advantage BJP, but the trouble, Rajdeep, so for example, if it is the Goa Speaker Pramod Sawant, will an MGP's Sudhin Davlikar, who's so much more senior to him, will he be able to control an alliance partner who's perhaps stronger and stronger headed?
I think they will have to concede to the likes of Sudhin Davlikar, maybe a deputy chief minister's post. Remember, Mr. Davlikar is very close to Nitin Gadkari. And I'm sure that Mr. Davlikar will try and extract his pound of flesh, as will Vijay Sardesai. Look, these are now politicians who are transactional. There is no ideology here. If tomorrow the Congress was to offer either Sudhin Davlikar or Vijay Sardesai the chief ministership, they may switch sides. The BJP has the advantage, as Vivek pointed out, that they are in power at the center, and the fact that the alliance has been in existence for the last 2 years. So I think it is advantage to the BJP, but let's not believe that any of these politicians in Goa at the moment have any ideology left. They are there primarily to get a slice of this power cake. And as I've been saying, as we see, these are very, it's the irony of Indian politics that while a funeral rites and a 21-gun salute is being given to your chief minister, as he's passed away, the rest are trying to fight over the spoils. And I guess that's the nature of politics, the pursuit of power. But it leaves a slightly bitter taste in the mouth, for me at least, because I think it only confirms what's been going on in Goa now for the last few months. It's almost as if ministers and MLAs have been preparing for the worst, because Mr. Parrikar's health has consistently been on the decline, and therefore, therefore it's almost like politicians just waiting to seize their opportunity. So while
but should the BJP, and as you very rightly point out that his health was failing, shouldn't the BJP by now, Vivek, in your appreciation, have had a plan in place, a succession plan in place? They can't be starting after he's passed away.
I think it's a very curious situation. One would think logically, yes. I think that they should have had a plan in place. In fact, I think they've rolled out or test marketed a series of different plans, and each one of those has kind of not faced the test, the real test, which is whether the allies will be able to stick with it. There are probably several possible compromise candidates within the BJP and the alliances. It's just that the factions, the party is so riven into camps, and in fact, Goa's polity is so riven into camps that in some ways it's very destructive. Each potential victor in this scenario has got a very powerful opponent. In the end, I'm sure it's going to resolve itself through some brute power, whether it's money or some kinds of threats. Famously, a number of these politicians have court cases hanging over their heads.
Okay,
it's going to be resolved in the back room somehow. But I think actually the BJP has tried. In fact, I think Manohar Parrikar would probably, it may be slightly unfair to say right now, so fresh to his passing, but Manohar Parrikar probably did not want to be in power for these last few months, and he was kept there because no other possibility presented itself as viable.
Rajdeep, could there be a Karnataka kind of a situation as far as the Congress is concerned? just because the Congress thinks that it's been let down, cheated out of power in Goa by the BJP, could they do a Karnataka? Let the junior partner be the chief minister?
I don't think that the desperation within the Congress, I mean, they would be committing political suicide if they did that. I think to my mind, the best case scenario for Goa at the moment is for the by-elections to be held. Remember, it's only a 40-seat state, so even 3 by-elections almost constitute a tenth of the size of the assembly. Don't take any decision rashly, both the sides, because the last thing Goa needs is another 2-month government or a 3-month government, and that's the danger now. Any arrangement which is formed in a shotgun manner almost immediately may not last even more than a few months. So I think it's important either to keep the assembly in suspended animation till such time as a relatively stable government can be formed, or that the two sides are willing to compromise. I don't think the Congress at this moment is willing to compromise and offer the chief ministership to either the MGP or the Goa Forward Party, nor is the BJP. But the BJP, because it's in power at the centre, I think holds more cards. And I would expect a BJP-led government to be formed, but whether it will be stable, huge question mark.
Okay. And Sandeep, the situation in Goa at this point of time, not really very conducive to the way things are going, even as far as the BJP is concerned, given the fact that Nitin Gadkari has now given a deadline that allies should tell me by 6 p.m, 15 minutes to go, and we are hearing nothing either from the MGP or Goa Forward. And Vijay Sardesai made it very clear that his support was for Manohar Parrikar, not for the BJP.
Yes, Gaurav, I mean, as Rajdeep pointed out, I think Goa is going through another period of tumult like it was back in the 90s, when you didn't have governments with clear majorities. You'll have coalitions, you'll have these IRAMs, GAIRAMs coming and forming governments which last a few months, collapse. And I wouldn't be surprised if you would have elections very soon in Goa. We're 3 years away from the next assembly elections, but I don't rule out the possibility of elections, even fresh elections, or as Rajdeep pointed out, the possibility of the assembly
being kept in suspended animation.
So all kinds of things I'm sure are being worked out right now with the government.
Because Manohar Parrikar himself, Rajdeep, in an earlier interview had said that politicians should resign by the time they reach 60, let the next generation take over. That really didn't happen. But in Goa, the BJP really doesn't have a next generation in place.
That is where sometimes there was a gap between what Mr. Manohar Parrikar said and what actually happened. He was 63, he was continuing despite his ill health. There were times when, he also broke the Congress just before the elections of 2017, got a couple of congressmen against whom he had filed serious corruption, who had serious corruption allegations against them, to switch sides and join his government. So, I think Manohar Parrikar was a practical politician. While there was a moral streak to him, and he was, as I said, a man who had a certain simplicity to his politics, to his personal life. I think in his politics he was just as sharp as any other politician. He was ready to do the Samdam Dandabhed politics. Let's be very clear about that. It wasn't as if he was a moral being when it came to politics. You can't be, I fear, in Goa. Given the nature of the politics in that state, you have to be someone who's able to know how to break a party, how to engineer defections. Mr. Parrikar did that. Now, I don't know whether the next generation of BJP leaders will be as adept, and certainly whether they will carry the same credibility and weight that Mr. Parrikar carried. I think that credibility factor will now affect anyone who takes over from Mr. Parrikar while leading such almost a minority government, if there is one to be formed.
Absolutely. Vivek, whether it's Shripad Yasho Naik or Vinay Tendulkar or Vishwajit Rane, any of the leaders carry the kind of credibility that Manohar Parrikar carried, or can they fit into his shoes?
Clearly not. There's no replacement figure for someone like Manohar Parrikar. The BJP itself, in fact, even the RSS that backs him is well aware of this. He was definitely a larger than life figure, and he represented, he in fact embodied Goa and Goan politics, not just on the national, in the national arena, but also in Goa. So there's no real replacement for someone like that. Whoever comes after him is going to have to make painful political compromises.
Okay.
This is a state where actually the feeling is of great disappointment over the past few years. A number of the promises made by Mr. Parrikar when he was running for election back several years ago, and again more recently, have been broken. It's a state which is struggling against a kind of a development agenda that is not very popular. There are huge important issues like the casinos and the new airport in Mopa, as well as threats to the way of life like garbage and massive inundation of kind of a low-budget tourism that is threatening the environmental, social, and cultural fabric of the state.
And
so
who will be the man who will tackle these issues? Vivek, Rajdeep, Sandeep, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. Sun sets over Goa. You're looking at those images there. The new sunrise, the new dawn. Who will be the new chief minister? We'll be reporting on that story.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.